So the War in the East series began with War in the East 1 in 2010 and expanded to War in the West, and now the War in the East 2 system, which has a lot of nice new features and covers the entire operations in the Eastern Front in World War II. Now with the Steel Inferno scenario pack, we get to explore a lot of the operational battles that happened during the war. Those battles that last between 3 and 9 months and cover the areas of an army group or so are really fit well into the series. So we've got 8 new smaller scenarios that run from anywhere from 3 to 9 months, and 2 new campaigns. The new campaigns allow you to jump in at different points of the war. We have the 1943 campaign that starts with the Operation Citadel around Kursk and goes to the end of the war, and then the 1944 campaign that starts in May of 1944 during a lull in operations before the big summer Soviet offensives. So now players can start at different points of the war and play the entire campaign through from there. So that gives people more visibility on different times of the war. With the original game, the Stalingrad to Berlin and Vista to Berlin gave you those starts in 1942 and 1945. So of the 8 operational scenarios, 2 of them cover new areas of the map. One of them, the Drama on the Danube scenario, starts in the summer of 1944, and it covers operations in all areas of Yugoslavia. So it includes the partisan forces in Yugoslavia and starts with the beginning of the Soviet advance through Romania. So it includes the interesting part of the war in Yugoslavia where Germans are trying to evacuate out of Greece and get back to the north and escape what was happening with the Yugoslavians and the now Soviet allied Bulgarians cutting those forces off while the Soviet armies are advancing through Romania and into Hungary. So it's a really exciting scenario that has some interesting dynamics to it, where the Germans are actually sort of on the offensive in Yugoslavia, trying to get their forces an escape path from Greece, while the Soviets are bearing down on them. So and that adds all of Yugoslavia, which wasn't used in the main campaign. Another scenario is the Road to Karelia, which includes southern Finland in the Road to Leningrad scenario area. So it covers Army Group North, attack towards Leningrad, and includes the Finnish forces in that. So those are 2 new areas of the war. Another set of scenarios has to do with the operations in the Caucasus in 1942 and 43. So we have a smaller scenario that covers just Army Group A and its attack into the Caucasus. And that makes for a fun, fast, open, mobile scenario. And then we have a larger Case Blue Phase 2 scenario that includes operations in the Caucasus and towards Stalingrad, and really puts the German player in the position of having to decide how to split their forces. They don't really have enough to cover everything, but what can they do in that summer-fall 1942 offensive before the Soviets can regain their superiority in the area and counterattack. And then we have an alternate Case Blue where the German 11th Army is added into the force mix, which gives them a little bit more ability to power their way forward. And then there's a Kuban bridgehead scenario that takes place in 1943 with the German 17th Army defending their last part of the Kuban area before their pullout. And then we've got a couple of larger operational scenarios. One involving Army Group Center right after the Kursk battles in 1943, where the Soviet offensive, Kutuzov offensive, opens up to take Orel and drive to Smolensk. And we've got a Western Ukraine scenario that covers immediately starts with the attack on Kiev and then forward through the Western Ukraine in early 1944. So those are larger and yet operational battles that take place over about a 9-month period. So it gives you some new time areas of the war, 1943 to 45, and in some cases the Caucasus in 42. So it gives a good spread of scenarios over the length of the war, and some new areas to fight in, and new situations, as I said, in the Danube and the Road to Krylia scenarios. So we think it's a good mix of new scenarios that War in the East players will enjoy. We're planning a couple of AARs by some of the testers. We're hoping to see one against the AI and a 2-player match of a couple of the scenarios. So that'll give people an opportunity to see players in action playing the game. So that should be starting up in the next few weeks.